Hey everybody, we're here back in the Bedrock Kitchen for our next virtual cooking workshop, and the crop that is really booming in the garden at this time of year, at least one of them, is collard greens. So we are going to demonstrate a recipe that's easy, fast, nice and cool, actually, for a cool summer night meal. So it's fresh, it's super nutritious. Collards are packed with vitamins and minerals. They're an amazing food. If you eat these every day, you'll live to be at least 200 years old, I believe. So get your collards in there. And I'm going to show you just an easy, simple recipe. This one has black eyed peas, which are a great source of plant-based protein. Combine them with a grain, and you get a complete protein. So if you just eat beans alone, you're only getting a partial protein. If you combine them with a grain, complete protein. If you want to throw in some chicken, you can. I just have some chicken. It's like if you have leftover rotisserie or a baked chicken that you didn't use the whole thing, you can shred some chicken and add this into your wraps. Lime makes it really nice and fresh and adds a kick of vitamin C. Avocado adds in some really healthy fats. And garlic adds a little zing and helps you kick any kinds of colds or flus that you might be kind of creeping around the edges at this time of year. Also, olive oil, another healthy fat, we're going to pop in there too. And I love this recipe with hot sauce. So we're going to use some of our Bedrock hot sauce made with peppers that we grew here on the Bedrock Urban Farm. So we're going to use all of these things to make a delicious, fresh, black eyed pea salsa collard wrap. So the first thing that we're going to do is actually de-stem the collards. So that just means take the stems out. Stems are pretty tough, so unless you're cooking them for a long time, you might want to take them out because they take a lot to chew and a lot to digest unless they're really well cooked. So I'm just simply holding on to each end of the stem and kind of pulling the collard away from the stem to get the stem out. And then you can either use your collards just fresh, just like this. If you do that, they're a little more tough, they're a little more bitter, or you can blanch them, which is what we're going to do. So come on over here and I'll show you that process. So right here I have some water that I've brought to a full boil, and I'm going to just take these collards, and all you do is plunge them in boiling water, and you really only want to leave them for a minute. 1 minute is probably plenty. You can do 2 on the outside, but you can see the minute they got into that water, they turn bright green. You don't want to keep them in there until they're dark green, but just that bright zing, once you see that color, that's a sign that they're already almost ready to take out of the water. So yeah, we're just bringing it to a boil, and then what you want to have on hand next door is a bucket of ice water. Because after you take the collards out of the boiling water, you want to plunge them right away in the ice water so they stop cooking. This is also a great thing to do if you have time to freeze your collards. If you want to harvest a whole bunch during the growing season and freeze them for using in the winter, blanching them is a great way to get any spoilage bacteria killed that might be on them, and also make those nutrients more available, those vitamins, and also help those nutrients to degrade slower in the freezer. So I'm just going to pop them right into this ice bath, and here we are. They're just taking a nice little bath right there. And in the meantime, I'll show you how I started my black eyed peas. So you can use canned black eyed peas. I used dry peas, and the way that you use a dry pea is just similar to how you would any kind of dry bean. I just soak them in water overnight, and in the morning bring them to a boil. You can pour off this first soak water, put fresh water in the morning, bring them to a boil, and then simmer them. Black eyed peas do not take long, usually about an hour to cook until they're nice and soft if they've soaked overnight. I love using dry beans. They're less expensive, and they also just have a different kind of texture to them than canned beans. So try it out if you haven't. And I'm going to bring these blanched collards back over here. And the reason I'm using 2 leaves is so I can arrange them so that slit that's left from taking out the stem, you can overlap the leaves so that there's no slit in your wrap. And I'll show you what that's going to look like in a minute. But in the meantime, we're going to get the salsa part going. So first thing I'm going to do is juice a lime. And I'm going to, for one wrap, I would juice about a half a lime. And this adds a nice citrusy kick to this too, which I love. So I'm going to take a little bit of lime juice, pour it in the bowl. I'm going to take about a tablespoon of olive oil and put it in here too. Again, olive oil is made with olives from an olive tree. It's another really healthy fat and pretty heat stable as well. And then I'm going to take my avocados and I'm just going to cube them. And I would use a whole avocado for this recipe if it's just me. If I'm cooking for a crowd, you might want to get more avocados and make more salsa to stretch. So I'm just going to cut these into cubes. So those are ready to go. And I'm going to, you can either grate or dice or use a garlic press to get your garlic really nice and small. I would, for one wrap, I would use probably no more than a half a clove of garlic. Raw garlic is pretty strong, so you don't want to, I mean, you want to keep the vampires away, but you don't want to keep yourself away, you know what I mean? So just dice this up really nice and small. And then I'll pop that in with the lemon juice and the olive oil. Okay, get that mixed up. This recipe, you all, is so simple. And then I'm going to just put the avocado in there. If you cube it up while it's in the peel, you can kind of just unpeel it like this, and that is really satisfying and fun too. Sadly, you can't grow avocados in Wisconsin unless you have a greenhouse. But when I lived in Oakland, we had a 40-foot avocado tree behind the place where I lived, and avocados do not ripen on the tree, so you have to pick them in order for them to ripen. But we had a family of squirrels living in that tree, and we had a sandbox under that tree for my kids. And the squirrels would pick the avocados, take a single bite, and chuck them at my kids in the sandbox. So we had to get a beach umbrella and put it over the sandbox to protect our kids from the flying avocados. So whenever I cook with those, I think about that. So, you know, there are pluses and minuses to having an avocado tree where you live. But you can use the avocado pit and sprout it and have an avocado tree start inside. But, you know, think about an avocado tree getting 40 feet tall. It would not fit in most places that you live if you actually got it going. So I'm just going to mix up that avocado. Oops, I left a little peel in there. The olive oil, the lime, and then I'm going to put about a can worth of black eyed peas in there, which then ends up being about a cup. Mix that together. I'm going to put a little touch of salt just to make those flavors pop. And then, last but not least, with my avocado fingers, I'm going to open up this hot sauce and just hot sauce to taste. If you like it hot, add a lot. If you like it mild, you could even skip it altogether. But it adds a really nice zing to your wrap. And last but not least, we're going to assemble it. So I'll show y'all how that goes. So I'm going to take my leaf, and then I'm going to take my other leaf and arrange it so that these slits that I made don't line up with each other. So your wrap does not have a hole is the goal with this. See how I just covered up that slit with another leaf? So we're going to do like that. And then I will put a little bit of rice. You can also make these kind of long so that you can slice them. Think about like sushi, that kind of a way. Put some of your black eyed pea mixture on top of it. Put a little chicken if you want it on there too. But again, you're already getting a complete protein with your peas and your rice, so you can skip the chicken. Also, you should know that you do not have to use white rice. You can use quinoa, you can use brown rice. In fact, I usually use one of those instead. Just those grains have a lot more nutrients than the white rice. So that's a good reason to use them. And there we have a collard, Black Eyed Pea Salsa collard wrap. You can slice it into slices, or you can just eat it like you would a burrito. And look at that beautiful collard tortilla. That is packed full of goodness for your body. And it's a delicious, cool, nutritious meal to enjoy on a hot night. So thanks y'all for tuning in. If you tried it at home, let us know what you thought. If you have other nice, cool summer recipe ideas you want to pop in the comments, go for it. We'd love to see them. And yeah, hope you enjoy it. Hope you're staying a little cooler this week, and we will catch you all next time.